Hey guys, EQOA Nostalgia here. Some of the EQ1 players and the EQ2 players I've talked to wanted to see what the game looked like, and I wanted to just take some time to point out some of the features. The videos I have here are from another YouTube user named Alutra or Alutra. I'm not too certain on how to pronounce that, sorry. Anyway, he has access to the game still, obviously. I do not. So he's been going around and getting some really cool videos. This one here is Narak, just starting off. And one of the things you notice is that the text is a lot bigger. Personally, I like that. I think it's a lot easier to read it, and they did that because it's a console game, and you know, they just wanted it to be more accessible to people. The music here, I'm sure, is somewhere in the original EverQuest, because we got all our music from you guys. Planes of Power, I think, is what we got our music from. These are the newer graphics. This is from Frontiers. It came out in 2003, the same year it released, like 9 months after it released, the game officially released. So they're not new graphics, but they're newer. The older graphics look something more like older EverQuest. There. Turn down the music a little bit. So yeah, obviously you get to put these stats to use as soon as you roll your tune. And then you just keep adding to them as you go up. And then we have Class Mastery, which is alternate advancement. It was a very, very deep game. I mean, people that think that just because it was on a console it's dumbed down and easy, it is not at all. It's just, like I said, it's a little bit more accessible. People who play more modern MMOs like World of Warcraft, they'd have a hard time with it, I think. Just like they would any other EverQuest game. Well, aside from 2. I think 2 still kept some of the feeling, but, you know, it's just... If you want original EverQuest, you have to go to EverQuest 1 or this. And a lot of people don't realize that this exists, and that's why I'm making these videos. I'm just really grateful that he was able to get this footage for me. Well, not for me, I mean, it's on his channel. And I highly recommend you go there because it looks a lot better than just me using a camcorder here. Cell phone. So I'm going to fast forward a little bit here. Let's see. I want to get outside. I actually did beta testing for this expansion here. I think I've mentioned that in one of my videos, I'm not certain, but the fog used to crash people, so I got to spend like all day crashing in the fog while they got to tweak it so it still looked cool but didn't crash people. Yeah, invisible wall. There's a couple of those in this game. There's another one in a place called Dark Solace. I don't know if that's in EverQuest 1 or not. I heard there was a secret entrance in Kinos in EverQuest 1, but I'm not sure. And you can see there's a little light in the middle of the screen because I cannot get the light off. I've tried everything. I suck. So yeah, he's basically just making his way out, and when you started here, you got completely, totally, hopelessly lost, and it was great. There's just noobs running everywhere. And every time you got a quest, it usually sent you off in the wrong direction. The complete opposite direction. I don't know if it was something, just some sort of typo, or if they were being wise asses or what, but you learn not to follow any instructions that you got from a quest giver. These are all the different households. You'll see these little houses up here, the different households of dark elves. And there's lore in there if you talk to them while they're trying to kill each other, and they're real evil and twisted and shit. Plotting against one another. So, this bridge here was the place that I had to run over a million times and crash. But that's alright because I got buffed up to level 60. Me and my wife got to go around and do some pretty cool endgame stuff. But doing beta was probably the most fun I had. Ogres were new and we were just two big ass ogres stomping around, beating the hell out of everything. And we really, we got the chance to take part in something that I'm proud of anyways. I know that I helped to fix the game in even a small way. But I don't think they had the music when the game first launched. They didn't have a lot of things. It was pretty bare bones. And like I said, you can play with the old style graphics. I've done that a lot. A lot of people prefer to do that. So if this did get a port, to me it would just be wise to have the option to toggle the skins, which skins you want. Of course you could always just download mod packs or whatever, but that's just wishful thinking. And yeah, he's about to exit out into Nectulos Forest. Nectulos. You can see it looks pretty good. I like the effects. The embers that are falling from the sky, there's a story behind that, I guess. They recently, well not recently, but when the embers started falling from the sky was after the expansion when they put in lava storms, so I think it had something to do with that. That and there's like a million volcanoes in the zone that I think every noob has fallen into a few times. So yeah, these guys, these are the coachmen. They would take you from town to town. You could run to any town, and as a matter of fact, before you could coach, you had to run to each city, and it was a real pain in the ass because a lot of people had to have help. But of course, the first people that came out, the pioneers of the game that, when we first started playing, we just had to run and hope that we didn't pop, because when you cast an invis on yourself, it popped a lot, and you died a lot. It's very, very dangerous out there, and that's half of the reason why it was epic. And like I said, there's no loading at all. Unless you're coaching or going over to Otis by boat or something like that, you do not load. No dungeon loading, nothing. And you'll see the target ridicule around the crow there. That's the color that it cons to you. Basically just your consider, and you can con things that are further away. So if you keep hitting the con button, you'll con everything that's around you in pretty much a circle, closest to farthest away, which I always thought was cool. I know in the original one, I don't think you can cycle through targets. I can't anyway. Yeah, I haven't figured it out. So yeah, this is the Narak area. That's just about it for this place. There's other places, but that's the basic gist of it. I'm going to go ahead and load up something else that he did and show you guys another zone. Okay, so now I believe we are in Moradhim. For EQ1 players, that would be Caladum. I believe that's how it's pronounced. I'm bad with pronouncing things. And, yeah, these are the dwarves. I like the way they made the dwarves look. I like the way they did the animations anyway. I think it's kind of in between EQ1 and EQ2. Somewhere in between realism and kind of cartoonish. The way they run and everything, it's just, I like that. And the sky was always really cool, too. They had a lot of detail with the clouds and the way the sun would transition through the sky. And here you can see they're heading up into a snowy area now. And like EverQuest 1 or 2, at this point you would you would be getting a load screen. You don't get that in EQOA, and that's one of the biggest things. It's impressive because it was running on the PS2. I mean, I know a lot of people love the PS2, but let's face it, it's not a PC. They were running this thing off of a memory card, and whatever server memory they had set aside for everybody's characters and things like that. Yeah, he's got his battle music on. Usually I just played with the music off. After a while you just put a CD on and play. And he's starting to make his way up towards Hallis now. There should be a river around here somewhere. And the river runs all the way up into Hallis and down into Grob. And most of the time when you were getting coaches, that's what you wanted to do. You wanted to follow the rivers or you're going to get your ass kicked because it was tough out there. You'll see over here on the top right where you put your spells, you memorize your spells. That's still pretty much the same. You can only memorize so many at a time. I think there was something like 3 spell belts, maybe 4. They upgraded it. They gave us 1 more than we had before or something like that. And they didn't give you a ton of spells, you know what I mean? You didn't get like 4 spells per level or something. It was like every 2. It's been a long time. It was every couple levels you would get spells, but it wasn't overkill. It was just enough that you needed so that you could utilize the controller and not have to click through a million things and still have a lot of fun. Beating on the orc. There was also no map. I have to point that out. We didn't have a map. We would be sitting with a zone map in our laps that we printed up from, Alakazam or something. And we would just kind of use our compass and the map and the compass up in the top left there and the map. And when you pressed select or start, it would show you where you were, what part of the zone, like Takish, his, southeast. And by that, you would have to gauge and use your map. So you really felt like you were an explorer in the land trying to get around. You got your map. It wasn't really handed to you at all. It was very hard. But it just had the convenience of being a little bit more compact. You could kick back with a controller. And a lot of the guys don't want to lose that. They really want that server to stay up, and so do I. But my main thing is that this goes on, and in order for it to keep going on, it has to get off of the PlayStation 2. It has to. Keep the server going for as long as possible, please. That's great, but I'm thinking long term here. I'd like to see it get put on PC. PS3 would be great, but consoles come and go. The PC isn't going anywhere. At least I don't think it's going anywhere. So that's what I primarily want to see. I've had people ask me about how do you zone mobs when they just kind of swarm on you. There were these lines, you could barely see them. They were really thin, and they separated zone quadrants in like a square. So once you crossed that line, everything would just turn back. And you didn't have to load or any of that crap. And I don't care how long a load screen is. It can be 2 seconds long. I've said this so many times. I've been saying it for years. When you get a load screen, it pulls you out of the experience. And even if it takes you out for a couple seconds, it's just long enough to pull you away. And it breaks that connection. And I don't know how to explain it, but it just doesn't feel as epic. And I firmly believe that a lot of EverQuest players, a lot of EverQuest 1 players don't realize that this is one of the only hardcore games we have. This and EverQuest 1, and that's it. Everything else is done. I mean, unless somebody wants to bring it to my attention, I have no idea. Any other game that is this fun, this hardcore, isn't candy-coated bullshit, and just rocks. So the support for this game, it's got to be beefed up, guys, because we don't have a lot of options. So as far as hardcore gaming goes, if you're a fan of it, you really need to support this. So yeah, basically that's it for this area. Like I said, it's massive. I mean, he couldn't possibly go around and show you everything. He doesn't have that much time before it gets shut down. I mean, you couldn't do that in a year. Seriously, yeah. It's just that massive. And we only got... you guys call it Antonica. We called it Tenaria. You guys call it Antonica and Fadeware. Fadeware isn't a separate continent or island for us. It was incorporated in the main land, so it was just kind of situated in the northeast part of Antonica. So that all launched as one for us, and our expansion was just Otis. Erodin and all that. It wasn't Erodin for us, though. It wasn't established yet, because this is 500 years before all that shit happened. So when you go to Otis, or, you know, what's about to become Erodin, you see a lot of construction happening, ships are being built, and stuff like that. And there's just a lot of story and lore there. For anybody who played the original one, you really got to check it out. Well, you're not going to get the chance to check it out if we don't win this fight, so... And that's the sad part. It's just seeing a real gem of a game get flushed right down the damn toilet. I would love to have the rights to this, because the money they can make from this, if they would just give it a little bit of support. But yeah, I'm not going to keep nagging on. Let's see, to go anywhere else. That, I believe, is the return home spell. Yeah, they're going to be going into more of him now. This music, I think you guys are going to recognize this. I'm pretty certain. Like I said, all the music came from Plains of Power, which, from what I gather, isn't really popular among the EverQuest 1 fans. It's when the game started to go to shit, I guess. Just things started to change. Fortunately for us, unfortunately and fortunately, they didn't get their hands on this game too much to nerf it or turn it into a more accessible game. At least not to my knowledge. They may have added some things that made it a bit easier since the population is low, which is why they do that anyways, I think, to keep the low population going, like adding mercs, which I hate. I really don't like mercs. Coming from Vox, it's really busy on there, and everybody's using mercs and not grouping, and I just get pissed off. But anyway, this is more in him. I'm going to be making a few more of these. I'm not certain when they're going to get out there. I'd like to do another one tonight and put it up. But this one's running to about 20 minutes, and I'm not certain how long I have on videos, so I'm going to go ahead and cut it off. But thanks for watching, guys, and I hope to see you in the next video.